Hi everyone, my name is Raksha Nagaraj, and today I'll be taking you guys through my journey to Antarctica. These are the photographs that I have taken, and I just want to showcase these photographs. And these are the handpicked photographs from the 2000 pictures that I had taken. So some of these handpicked pictures are something that are very close to my heart and have a story to tell. So let's begin. So, they say that the journey of a lifetime begins with one step, but my journey started with confirmed payment. So it actually goes back 2 years prior to my travel date. I was sitting at my desk working and I was really bored. So I started scrolling through and I started looking at different flight options and also the travel options. And that's when I stumbled upon Antarctica. So that is one of my favorite hobbies that I open all the tour agents' websites and then start looking for the holidays that they have. And I'm pretty much a traveler, so I travel pretty much everywhere without a travel agent or without anybody's help. But Antarctica was something that I couldn't have done that because you need a cruise ship to go there. So looked at this website, absolutely loved their itinerary, and I quickly confirmed the payment, and that's where the dream of Antarctica began. And it took me 2 years to actually travel to Antarctica. Why 2 years? Because I was working and I had to save up that money in order to go for Antarctica cruise ship. So that is the reason why it took me 2 years. Yeah. Okay, before I actually talk and showcase my photographs, I just want to give you guys a bit of overview and a context about Antarctica and my journey itself. So, as we know, Antarctica is the southernmost continent and it is about 14,000 kilometers from Bangalore. So, I had to fly into multiple places in order to catch a cruise ship to go to Antarctica. I'll come to that in a bit. So, it's mainly reached from South America. But having said that, there are few other ports from where you can actually take a cruise ship. So there are four routes. One is Punta Arenas, which is in Chile. And then the second one is Ushuaia in Argentina. And then the third one is in Hobart in Australia. And then the fourth is Invercargill or Dunedin in New Zealand. So the most popular route is Ushuaia, Argentina. That is the southernmost city in the world. So you catch a cruise ship from that point. Australia and New Zealand are not very popular for the simple reason because you have to go through even more rougher seas in order to reach Antarctica. And also the points that you reach in Antarctica are mainly historical places, not the wildlife itself. So that's why the Australia and New Zealand ones are not very popular. But the Chile and Argentina ones are quite popular. Okay. Okay. So this was my home. So this is called as an ocean explorer. It is a ship owned by Intrepid, and Intrepid Holidays is the one that I went to Antarctica with. And this is a very small and sustainable expedition ship. What it means is there are two kinds of cruise ships that you can actually take to Antarctica. One is the luxury cruise ship, where you have everything and you don't have to go through different expeditions in the cold weather. The second one is the expedition ship. I went through an expedition ship. Expedition ships are mainly made up of marine biologists, photographers, and then kayakers and adventurers. So it's more adventurous kind of a cruise ship that you take in order to go to Antarctica. So that's exactly what I took, the Ocean Explorer. And it took me 2 weeks, the entire journey from Ushuaia to Antarctica and then back. So that is what the whole journey was about here. Okay. Okay, so one of the dreadest and the roughest seas on earth, the Drake Passage. So when you actually take a cruise ship from Ushuaia, you have to cross something called as a Drake Passage. So it is about 800 to 900 kilometers stretch between South America and Antarctica. So what this is it is extremely unpredictable and it has a stormy weather. So it is known as Everest of the sea. Okay, and this is where the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans meet. So what happens, what I was told was, imagine this is our Earth. You start from here and keep going across the globe, and then after 21,000 kilometers, you land up at the same place. So it's all ocean the entire way, and it is extremely rough. So there is a popular thing called as Drake Shake or Drake Lake. So Drake Shake means everything is shaking. For 2 days, when you're actually going on the Drake Passage from Ushuaia to Antarctica, you can actually see your ship going this way. That's how bad the sea is. And when we were having dinners or lunches, we would have these cutleries, and we were so used to these things flying away. That's how bad it was. And everybody falls sick on Drake Shake. Okay. So that is what it is. And you can actually see the waves that are there that side. That's how high the waves are when you're actually going on this Drake Shake. But you also get occasionally Drake Lake, which is more calm. And when I say calm, it is relative. So it is lesser than those waves, but still you get some of the higher waves. And you have to take some of the seasickness tablets. Otherwise, everybody falls ill. And it's really bad. So yeah, but then once you actually pass this whole Drake Passage, it opens up a new world, and it's very calm and it's extremely beautiful. So that is the Drake Passage that I want to show. Okay, the next one. So when I already spoke about the expedition cruise, right? So expedition cruise, what mainly it means is, you basically take these small floater kind of boats, which are called as zodiacs. So they flow. I mean, they actually take the passengers on these zodiacs. In the morning, you're briefed saying that this is what you would be doing the entire day. Then you actually sterilize yourself, because Antarctica is very pure and we don't want to spread any germs. So you sterilize yourself, and then you get onto these zodiac boats. And then these zodiac boats either go to the landing of Antarctica, or they go around the landscapes if it is too dangerous to land in a place. So that is exactly what happens. And then in that zodiac, you do different activities. So what I did was, I took a photography course from Nat Geo photographers. So that is something that I did during my expedition. So we would be taken out and we would be given lessons on how to take pictures of the landscapes, what to observe, and what to see in the wildlife as well. So we experienced a lot more, because photographers get the first priority, then the remaining crew. So that's the reason why we were like always first without people. And we would go on these, and then while coming back as well, we would be there for about 2 hours. And then while coming back, we would actually come back to the ship again, sterilize ourselves, and then get onto the inside the ship. That is what our day-to-day activity looked like. And in the afternoon, we would actually do it again, repeat all over again. So expedition cruises, I want to make a point that it does require a good fitness level when you actually go on the expedition cruises, because the entire time you're in Antarctica, you're repeating this whole thing. Okay. So, and this is how the weather was, by the way, when I went. Unfortunately, it was snowstorms everywhere, but it was beautiful. But in spite of it, it was extremely cold. And I think it was around minus 20, 30 when I went. So you do get separate jackets, the outer jackets from the cruise ships as well. So not just your own layers, you can actually wear the cruise ship layers as well before going. Okay. Okay. So I thought Antarctica was all just white. That is the image that I had of Antarctica before going there. I'm sure all of you might be thinking the same thing, because it's white continent. That's what we call it. So yeah, even I had the same image, but there are so many colors that you can actually see. There are so many browns, there are so many blacks that are there, and there are deep blues. So you can see that photograph on the left. It is not processed, it was exactly like that. And it has turquoise pools, and also even pink algae sometimes. So you could see different colors of the landscapes itself and the wildlife. So wildlife adds its own colors. So there were red beaks, pink paws, gray seals, and even brown birds. So, not just the landscapes and the wildlife, there were sky changing colors as well. Sometimes we saw golden color and then violet, lavender, red, pink, whatever colors. So, we saw so many colors in Antarctica. So, my prospection of the perspective that I had about Antarctica saying that it's all white was actually not true. So, there were so many colors that actually bring out. Okay, so Antarctica, again, second myth that we have is Antarctica is all about ice and glaciers, which is not true again. So there are quite a lot of things that you can actually see. Obviously, it has stunning wildlife. So there is very unique wildlife that we can see in Antarctica. Apart from that, there are different things that you can do. One is you can visit the historical sites that exist in Antarctica. And then also, you can actually participate in scientific research programs, which is nothing but citizen science, which I will be talking today. Okay. Okay, so this is Deception Island, and Deception Island is very airy and a fascinating place in Antarctica. So it is an active volcano where the caldera flooded the seawater and it has formed that those beaches that exist over there. And now the wildlife exists and nobody else actually lives on this island. So you just go there, get down, and then you take pictures over there, visit those historical sites, and then you get back onto the zodiac. So that is what you do on a Deception Island. But I want to talk about a dark side of this Deception Island before we actually get on to the happy side of Antarctica. So, one is during the early 1900s, there was something that was done on this Deception Island, which is called as whaling. I'm sure some of you who love wildlife would have heard of what whaling is. It was a process where they would catch whales and kill them. And why would they do that? Just for whale oil. So they wanted to fill up those tanks that exist over there with whale oil. Okay, and these whale oil was used in cosmetics and lighting lamps. So it was a very dark side of Deception Island, even Antarctica. So this belongs to Antarctica. So it was a very dark period. And between 1911 and 1930, which is about 19 years, approximately 120,000 whales were caught and killed. Okay, so that is the dark side. And these rusting tanks and bunkers, which you see over here, were used to store the whale oil. Okay, but in 1986, International Whaling Commission, they came up saying that you have to ban commercial whaling. So they banned commercial whaling. So they could not get whale oil or any of these things to store in these tankers. So, but then it kept happening in the name of scientific whaling. Okay, so even though it was introduced in 1986, it actually stopped in 2018 when Japan pulled out, saying that fine, we will stop scientific whaling. So there were a lot of protests that happened. There were a lot of things that actually went against Japan to stop that. There was a lot of pressure that was built up. Finally, they stopped. And today, the wildlife is thriving there. You can actually see the penguins hanging out by the beach, enjoying the beach to themselves. And also, you can see a lot of whales that come in as well. So there are a lot of orcas that actually come in order to hunt these penguins as well. Yeah. Okay, so Antarctica's ice forms. So they are almost like living creatures. So they move, they crack, they melt, and they reform. So these icebergs and the glaciers, they are everywhere and they are just floating. They are floating everywhere and they are of different sizes and shapes. And when a iceberg actually burns out of a glacier, it breaks itself and forms multiple icebergs, and then they're called as calving. So that is what happens. And there are many of these which have been formed from those huge glaciers. Okay. So there are different types. So you have tabular forms, you have pinnacled ones. So you have different colors, as I said. These blue colors are mainly because it has oxygen content. So usually it's white, but then it could be blue. And depending on how much of oxygen exists, it is different colors. Okay. So you can see these massive icebergs floating everywhere, different shapes and different sizes. So when you are actually landing on a landing space in Antarctica, they decide as to which is more safe. So before actually going on those zodiacs, you're taken over there, and depending on the safety, they will allow you to get onto some of these icebergs or the ice capped mountains is what they call. So you can actually get onto them. And so, not these ones because these are not safe and you cannot walk on them because they could be slippery and stuff. But there are places which are these ice formations where you can actually get onto Antarctica itself. Okay. Then comes birds. So, Antarctica is a birder's paradise. So you will see tons of birds which are like following your boat or a cruise that are going, and they think that there's food, and also there's a lot of fishes. I didn't know that Antarctica had fishes, but there are fishes that exist, and they're catching these fishes behind your cruises. So there are petrels, there's skuas, and then there are albatross. There are many albatross that exist over there. My favorite ones were these small but fierce birds called as Antarctic terns. So we might have seen terns over here, but these are Antarctic terns, and they are known for migrating from pole to pole, and they cover about 70,000 kilometers in 1 year. So they actually travel between the poles in order to get warmth or food, whatever it is. Yeah. And these are some of the other birds. And these birds are survivors because they nest on these icy cliffs. I have seen the nest very closely as well as we went out to one of the nests where the birds were having. But it's such an amazing engineering marvel. They know exactly how to place on an ice and what angle, and so that it doesn't fall. So they are so good with that. And they've learned it over the years. And as I said, they feed on fish and krill. So I'll come to krill in a bit. They're shrimp like creatures, but I'll tell you the food chain in a bit. But yeah, so they eat fish and krill. And I was saying that I didn't even know that Antarctica waters were home to fishes. It is actually. So they have fishes like ice fish and toothfish. So these are the fishes that exist in Antarctica. Unfortunately, we didn't see any fishes when we were over there on our expedition cruise. But yeah, so they do exist. So yeah, these are some of the photographs. Okay, so the next one, you'll see the lazy seals over there. So they just lie there. They don't do anything most of the time. So they're just chilling out on the icebergs, and yeah, they're having the fun and all the time in the world. So that's what they do. And Antarctica is home to many species. It is home to weddell seals, leopard seals, and crab eater seals, and fur seals. So there are quite a lot of seals that exist over there, and each one of them coexist without actually harming others. And every seal has its own charm. So leopard seals, they look adorable. They look really cute. I'll show you in the next picture where they're sleeping. So they look adorable, but they are the top predator. Okay. And Weddell seal, this is a fur seal actually. Weddell seal can dive over 600 meters deep and can stay for more than an hour underwater. So that is how beautiful seals are. And they're very playful, they're curious, and they give weird expressions to humans. They see the cameras, they hear the noises of our flash, and then they look at you and they are like the celebrities and they're giving you those poses. It's very beautiful. So this one was sleeping all the time. And then this is the leopard seal, which I was talking about. They look cute, very cute. But as I said, they're the top predators. And this is the pose that I was talking about. So in the first picture, he was turning back. He was showing his back to us. But as soon as he realized that we were taking pictures, he looked at us and he posed for our photographs. And we were there for, I think, 15 to 20 minutes. And this is how he was, like the entire time posing. It was very beautiful. Yeah. So this is what they do, and we also actually we saw a leopard seal come and swim underwater as well. So it came out, and we could see the whole atmosphere changing. As soon as a leopard seal came close, we could see all the penguins became nervous. There were a lot of tensions that were happening because when they come out, when they're not chilling, they usually hunt or they take a swim. So fortunately for me, because it would have been very traumatic experience for me. So fortunately for me, there was no hunt. It was just a swim. So a leopard seal came. He swam around our boat. He was actually very curious to know what our zodiac boat was, and then went around us and then went back to his sleep. So that's what a leopard seal did. Okay, so my one of my most favorite animals or mammals, fin whale. So fin whale is the second largest animal on earth. So right after blue whale. Okay. They can reach up to 27 meters in length, and yet they can move with such grace. So this is called as a fluke, which is a tail of a whale. So we were very fortunate to see a fin whale because fin whale is endangered and there are only 100,000 remaining at the moment. So it is an endangered species where everybody is trying their best to protect it. Okay. And the fluke, why it is so important is because a whale can be identified by a fluke. Fluke is a tail, as I said. So if it is traveling, there are researchers which are actually tracking them. So you can go onto a app called as Whales. So you can actually go and upload these pictures, and they would know based on the fluke as to how they're traveling and where they're traveling. So that's how advanced we have right now, and that's how much data we have. So it is usually the front of the fluke that is identifiable. But in my case, it was the back of the fluke. So this one is from the front where I've taken the picture. So this was useless for them. So, but if you take a picture from the back, that one is something that you can use to track fin whale as to where all it's migrating and where all it's going. So that is the image of the fin whale that we saw. And Antarctica also has other whales. So you have humpback whales, you have blue whales, and also you have orcas. So orcas are dolphins, so that technically not whales. But then yeah, so these are the whales that are there, and they migrate from Antarctica up north to warmer regions and back after they produce the babies every single year. So they are traveling 10,000 kilometers in a year. So what happens is they start from here, Antarctica is where they live. They go back up north where it is warmer. They mate and they give babies. And while coming back, you can actually see the babies with them. So the mother whales are like traveling back south, and the babies are traveling with them as well. So in places like South America or Australia, these are some of the popular activities that you can actually do, whale watching. So you can actually see them going when the mother is pregnant or she's looking for a mate, and with the babies when they're going down as well. So it's a very beautiful sight, and they travel quite a lot for that. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about our favorite topic, penguins. So yeah, penguins, they are the actual celebrities of Antarctica. Everybody loves penguins. And yeah, as I said, in that 2000 photographs that I've handpicked, probably 1800 is of penguins. So, so there are quite a lot of species, penguin species on Antarctica. Gentoo, chinstrap, and Adele. So these are the penguins that exist over there. and they live in colonies that can number in thousands. There could be thousands of them living in colonies. So they are extremely beautiful species because they are delightful. They're very happy in general, and they are like waddling. They are sliding on their bellies, and then there is a chatter constantly. So they're talking to each other, and then they seem curious about humans all the time. Okay, so what happens is there is something called as penguin highways in Antarctica. So you have to maintain 5 meters distance whenever you are actually traveling over there, and you cannot go near the wildlife. But if a wildlife comes, you have to step back slowly. For penguins, when they are coming, you have to give them way. There is no that, okay, I have climbed so much on a hill. Can I just stay here? Because it's tiring to go back and then come back. No excuse. You have to step back, and then the penguins go, and then you climb again. So they are the penguin highways. So that is they get the first priority because obviously they're cute as well. So yeah, that's what it is. And these ones were from Deception Island, which I spoke about, the historical island that I was talking about, the sites of the whaling thing. So now these penguins have taken over. But what I want you to see in this photograph are those the mud or the stones that are there. So as I was saying, that they are volcanic. The island is still an active volcano. So you can actually see that. And sometimes you can actually see even the steam coming out of the sand. So that is what the Deception Island is. Okay. Yeah. So we found some headless penguins as well. So yeah, so they were everywhere and they were amazing. They also gave quite a show with swimming in the water. So they occasionally come out and they take a swim along with the entire pack. They actually come on the colony and then they swim for a while, and then they're just so curious. They also come along your zodiac. They just check you out and then they go back. So that is what they do from time to time. And some penguins are really funny as well. So this is adult penguin, and this one they just stare at the distance. They just stand there and keep looking. No matter how long you're there, you can just see them staring into the wild. And sorry, they are like the philosophers of the ice. So they're just standing there. So he was actually out of place because most of them were gentoo penguins that were habited in that island. But this one was alone. He had swam to a wrong destination, I think, and he was just lost. So he just stood there. Hopefully, has made his way back home. And yeah, so we just were there for like 20-30 minutes and he was just there. Okay. Yeah, this is my favorite moment. So, in Deception Island, there was a hill, and we were dropped off at Deception Island, and we were told that you guys can go ahead. And what you can do is you can actually climb that hill. So, if you go to the top of the hill, you can see the surrounding and you can get a very good view of all these whaling stations or the bunkers that existed. Everybody went ahead because we had short time. So I mentioned, right, the zodiac is like usually for 2 hours. So they will give you a exact time as to when you have to be back. Everybody ran. But then something caught my eye. This fellow. So what he would do is he was searching for the right pebble. Okay. So he would pick up a pebble and he would be like, no, he would shake his head and this is not good. He would throw the pebble and then go a little more and then he would pick up another pebble. So the story goes that usually penguins, when male penguins, they want to impress female penguins, they search for a right pebble. Okay, and they mate for life. So they actually go and find a beautiful pebble, which he thinks he's going to impress the female, goes and gives it to the female. And if the female likes it, she picks that pebble and she goes and places in a nest, and that's how they start their nest. So it's a very beautiful story, and I was so lucky to actually witness them. I did not go up the hill, I did not see the view or historical sites and stuff, but I saw this moment, which was very special for me, and it was extremely beautiful. So, do you guys think that he found a pebble? Actually, he did. So he found the perfect pebble and he just walked away. So that's what he did. And yeah, it was a very beautiful moment captured on camera. And yeah, so it just was captured only on my camera, actually. Okay. Okay. So I was talking about the food chain, right? So this is the food chain of the species in Antarctica. So the main thing over here is this krill. Okay, sorry. Yeah, this one. So they are like shrimp like creatures. So they eat something called as phytoplanktons. Phytoplanktons are microscopic plants. Okay. And this is the main source of food for everything that is there in Antarctica. So these are eaten by birds, these are eaten by some of the seals, these are eaten by penguins, squids, and then leopard seals eat them instead. And then that's how it grows. Okay. So the thing is, this krill is dependent on this phytoplankton, which is a very important thing for Antarctica to thrive and the food chain to be maintained, whatever the balance, right? So, if this reduces the phytoplankton, this one, then everything else is impacted. So, what is happening right now is unfortunately, it is happening. So, that phytoplankton which we saw is reducing. Okay. Scientists don't know why it is reducing, but it is reducing, and because of which it is impacting the entire food chain. Okay. And this one was unexpected. So, what happened was these ships are also controlled by something called as IATO, so which is International Association of Antarctica Tour Operators. So, as we know, Antarctica does not belong to anything. So, these tour operators have guidelines and the things that they can actually participate in order to give scientists some data when they're actually going, because they're going very frequently. And what better way for citizens themselves to participate in these research programs and actually give them the data so that they can record that data almost every day, because there are a lot of providers that are going in between the seasons. So that is what this fjord phyto project was. So it was a citizen science project. Citizen science is where citizens contribute, so it can be anywhere, not just in Antarctica. So citizen science can happen here as well in Karnataka, where you can go and uh, record the data of the reefs, where you can actually go for hikes. And if you see a plant species or anything, just take pictures and then record, I mean, update it. So citizen science programs are where you actually can participate anywhere. So for me, I got an opportunity in Antarctica to participate in this citizen science program. So remember, I said that our cruise was an expedition cruise. So there are different types. You can actually pay a little more and get onto a luxury cruise as well. But it is very meaningful to get onto an expedition cruise because you're learning so much. You're getting lots of lectures about the entire ecosystem of Antarctica. You're learning about these programs. You can also participate in these programs where they will actually send you an update as to what happened after you recorded the data as well. Okay. So there were few things that we had to do as part of this research itself. So everybody else, I mean, we had an option to go for a photography zodiac or a citizen science zodiac. So I opted for citizen science zodiac. We were 10 of us. We were actually taken on a zodiac and we went very close to a fjord. So fjord was melting. That means fresh water was actually getting mixed up with the seawater. That is where we had to collect the data. So there were few things that we had to do. We had to collect two samples of water. One was just a plain water. There was no liquid that was mixed because they wanted to see how it will disintegrate or what will happen to the microorganisms or something like that. They just wanted to study that. And then the second sample was mixed with Lugol solution. So Lugol solution actually preserves that water. So the way you collect it is how it's going to remain till they actually get the information, the scientist, till it goes back to the lab itself. So we had to collect these two samples for their research. And then we also had two disc shaped equipments. So the first image over here, this one, it is one of the disc equipment that we used. So it is called as open water Sechi disc. So what happens is it is white or black in color. So you tie up a rope to a disc on one side and then you insert it. So you observe how long can you see it. So it basically measures the visibility of water, the depth of water, the water quality, and also the viscosity of the water. So it actually gives you those data which you record the data on your this thing on your findings when you go there. So they have a chart where you actually mention all these details and also who are the people who participated in it. Okay. So that was the second activity that we did. The third activity that we did was our planktons. So we had to collect planktons. Why are they reducing? Is it because the fresh water is impacting them? What is going on is what they wanted to find the research. And that's exactly what we did it here. So we used a nylon net. So we left it for about 20 to 30 minutes in the water, just waiting for the samples to be collected. And we used a 20 micron net. And finally, we collected the sample, which is this. It looked brownish and disgusting, but then it was what we were told was it was the best phytoplankton sample that we have collected. So it was rich in phytoplanktons. So this whole data was collected over there in a course of like 30 to 40 minutes. And then we went back to the ship. So once we got back to the ship, they actually showed us these phytoplanktons under the microscope. So we saw how they looked and what we had done basically. So that is what was collected. And these went back to the scientists who were actually working on this fjord phyto project. So on the internet, if you go, they'll actually show you the entire research that are happening and where the data is, what the pattern is, and everything. So that is how it was meaningful. And we were not just there only to see the landscapes or learn the photography, but also learn about this whole data collection and citizen science, which was extremely special and another special moment for me. Okay. So, one of the pictures which I do not have, but I really want to share my experience was my camping experience. So, on Antarctica, you guys can actually camp. So, it is not how we camp over here. So, we don't have tents. So, basically, you go there, they'll give you a sleeping bag. You go there, you go onto the ice, and then you dig up. And then you dig up for your height, and then you go inside the sleeping bag. You put your shoes next to your ears, and that's how you actually camp. There is nothing to cover you. And for toilets, they have these boxes, the toilets that's there. But then the camping is an extremely beautiful experience because sometimes you get to see southern lights. So we know a lot about northern lights, but we also get to see southern lights. So it's pretty much light when I went there because that is the time, the summer time is when they actually take the cruises over there. So it's day almost all the time. And even if there is sunset, it's not actually pitch dark after that. So you can still see some light and things. And then by 2, 3, we were woken up and we were brought back to the ship. So it's another beautiful experience to do when you are actually on an Antarctica journey. And then another thing that you can do over there is polar plunge if you're adventurous. So what you do is you put on your swimmers and you take a dip in Antarctica waters. So that is what you do. So you have you have a rope tied to you, and then you go to the edge of the ship, and it is a huge activity. So you take that step and you go in. You go actually unfortunately, I could not do it again because I had cold. And I was advised that it would become worse if I take a polar plunge, and I was not allowed. So what you do is they people actually jump in and they spring back because it's so cold. It is yeah, it's extremely cold. And so as I said, it was minus 20 to 30 degrees when I was there, and you have many layers that you need to wear in order to do that. But you're wearing swimmers when you actually take a polar plunge. So that is a huge activity, and you get a certificate as well for being very brave. So that is the whole thing about polar plunge. And yeah, so these are all the experiences that I had in Antarctica. It was a journey which changed me a lot and which changed my life, because in this you can actually see the purest form of our planet. There are no people, there is no trash, there is nothing, and it's absolutely raw. So you can see penguins or seals or whales in their natural habitat. Nobody is there to disturb them. They are just chilling out, they are doing all sorts of things. But yeah, so there is absolutely, it's divine when you go there. And I personally feel that everybody, if given a choice, they should definitely go, yeah, to Antarctica. It is quite an adventurous trip. But what I would like to tell you is, remember I said there are four routes, and the first one was about Chile. So, what you can do in Chile is you can actually take from that point a flight in order to avoid Drake Passage. So, you can actually go closer to Antarctica, you can completely avoid Drake Passage, and then you can take a cruise. So that is what you can do, if because Drake Passage is scary, and it is quite adventurous. So yeah, because you'll be just, I mean, you can't walk straight on Drake Passage. So something to think about, like you can do the Chile route if you really don't want to take the Drake Passage itself. So that is what it is. And lastly, I would like to conclude by saying that this is me, and yes, I wore a sari in Antarctica. Yeah, it was quite cool. Yeah, so that's what I did. And yeah, thank you so much. And yeah.
Thank you very much for this presentation, and I'm sure most of us we have never seen the photographs, and maybe we'll not see, not too sure. Which month did you go? Number one, number two, approximately how much did it cost you, and were you the only Indian, or you had some friends and colleagues, etc.?
So first question, which month I went? So I went in November, and it is open from November till Feb or March, because that's the summer season that you can go. Yeah, so that's the first question. How much did it cost? So mine was an expedition cruise, and it was a bit expensive. It was around 11 lakhs just for the cruise itself. So it was 11 days and 11 lakhs. Yeah, so that was the approximate. But having said that, you can get it for cheaper if you have time. So what you can do is you can actually go to Ushuaia, and you can actually look for last minute deals. So there are a lot of people who book holidays, but sometimes they cannot make it. So what happens is these cruise ships, they actually sell it for half the price. So you can actually go to Ushuaia and try the luck as well. Yeah.
Did you have any colleagues or family member, relatives, friends
No,
with you?
nobody. So I am, as I said, is a solo traveler. So I went alone from Bangalore to Antarctica. So I mean, on the ship there were a lot of people, but then I was the only one from here. So I flew from Bangalore to Buenos Aires, and from Buenos Aires I took another flight to Ushuaia, and from Ushuaia I took the cruise ship. And was I the only Indian in the ship? Yes, Indian, but there were a lot of people who came from US. But then they, for some reason, they had selected a wrong cruise ship. They thought it was a luxury cruise ship, whereas this was a expedition. So they did not go step out of the ship at all. So there were three more Indians who were there on my cruise ship.
Okay. Did you or any of your fellow travelers, did you all have any bad experience as far as the animals are concerned during the journey or when you were outside?
No, actually. So, no, none with the animals as such. because they mind their own business. And for penguins, it's like you're another animal or something. So that's the only animal that you can come closer, because seals are usually on the icebergs and they're floating and then they're minding their own business. But penguins, you can go a bit closer and no. I mean, as I said, 5 meters gap. So if they are coming, there was a time where we were climbing and they came closer. So we had to go back and leave them place. And because they don't understand, they just think that you're just another animal. They just keep coming and you just have to leave them place. That's what it is.
Hi, thank you very much for that very interesting talk. I have two questions. One is how many layers did you need to wear to keep warm? And second is, as you mentioned, that there are very frequent expeditions going to Antarctica. So, do you think that this frequent activity of humans showing up there is impacting the behavior of the wildlife? Because research now has shown that safaris in jungle is adversely impacting wildlife there.
Yes. So first question was how many layers? Okay. So the layers, I feel extremely cold, but I keep ending up at cold places. I don't know why. But then I think I wore like 5 layers on top, and then you have to wear a rain jacket, and they'll give you another thick jacket. So these are all the layers that I wore on top, and bottom I wore 3 thermals, one rain jacket, and yeah, another, and no, just the rain jacket. And then you have a boots as well, so you have to wear thick socks, and then they give you those boots which you have to wear. So that's what I wore, the first one. And the second one, as I mentioned, these tour operators are regulated by IATO. So they have very strict guidelines and very strict rules about how many cruise ships can go at a time and what are the activities that humans can take place. But having said that, when I went there, there was this avian flu which was going around, and it was, they took extremely actually they took a lot of precautions so that we are sterilized before we actually get onto the island. And many places, I mean, when I was there, we could land on the island, so we could step on the seventh continent. But the cruise ships which came after, they completely stopped it. Nobody could actually step onto the island itself. You could just take a zodiac, go around the places, and then get onto the ship. Yeah. So
Hello. So that was a very engaging presentation. And but we know that there are research sites on the whole continent. So where are the research stations and even the climbing? There are also climbing mountains and all that, like for mountaineering and all that.
yes.
Where are the tourist, stations?
So they are completely different kind of expedition cruises that you have to go on. You have to take permissions to go to the research sites, and they are across everywhere. So they are in different islands. So the ones that we were mapped was only on the left hand side of Antarctica, which was just tipping the iceberg of the entire thing that exists. But there are different research centers along with the post office as well. So there are different things that are laid out in different places which are not accessible by general public. Okay, and there is a, yeah, tallest mountain as well, which is around
So
4,692
all
meters or
these
something.
mountaineering people go inside, and there are these peaks they climb. So how deep inside do they go?
So they are a different site altogether, and you have to sign up for a mountaineering course or a ship itself for that. So it is one of the tallest summits out of the 7 summits that are there, and you can actually go and climb that as well. And it is pretty much inside, where you have to go even more deeper because we were just on the border. And as I said, even Australia, when you come, you're just on the border on the right. So whereas you have to go a little more deeper in order to access those hills that are there.
Thank you very much for the excellent presentation. And I want to congratulate you on the precise description of all the things that happen in Antarctica in terms of a person visiting Antarctica, because from my own experience, me and my wife went last year in February. We took a 13-day expedition. So it's an amazing place to visit. I wish there were a few more other photographs also. One of the questions that I have was, and I don't believe that is possible based on the 7 or 10 days cruise, is were you able to cross the Antarctic Circle?
No,
Okay.
we were
Because the one that we took, which
Yeah.
is 13 days, you can actually cross the
yeah.
Antarctic Circle and then come back. The other thing is, I wish you had shown the picture of a chin strap.
Oh, chin strap, yeah. I
Because
must have, yeah.
it is one of the fascinating
Yes.
thing. It's a penguin that looks wearing a tuxedo, literally a tuxedo strap
Yes.
around the neck, and
Yes.
it's very fascinating. The story that you talked about in terms of pebbles, I have fortunate to have a video of it
Oh, wow.
where a male actually was going searching, and he took a pebble, presented to the female. The female basically said no. He
Aw.
went back. So it's a very fascinating
I
story.
wish I had seen the other
Yes,
side. Whether she
I had-
accepted or not, I don't know.
No, the second part, I think probably she did. I don't know.
But that was a sad story,
yeah,
yeah.
it is a wonderful. So thank you very much.
Thank you so
for
much,
the
sir.
next.
Yeah.
Hi, Raksha.
Hi.
Thank you. Congratulations. At a little age, you look like a tiny girl, but you made it to Antarctica.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like searching where. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. My question is one, the food on the ship, and second thing is spiritually, emotionally, and psychologically. It's a difficult question. How did you feel returning back to Bangalore?
Food on the ship. So it was a buffet. So they have like a proper buffet system that they have, but it's a mix of meat and vegetarian and stuff. There are a few vegetarian options, but not a lot of them, because most of them are from US or from South America and those, which is more like meat eating countries. So they actually have, that's the food. So I had to survive on salad and bread. Those are the things. Sometimes pasta. So I had to survive on those. But having said that, sometimes they do give dal, lentils. So they call it as lentil soup instead of dal. So they do have those. So you can actually survive. And you can give your dietary requirements before itself. So they cater for you. So that is the food. And coming back to Bangalore. So, I didn't want to come to Ushuaia itself. So I, I just wanted to be there with the penguins because I really love wildlife. So I absolutely enjoyed so much looking at this pristine landscapes and the environment that was there. And they were just playing, being themselves without anybody being like harmful to them. And it was something that I cannot express. It still feels like a distant dream for me. And I still, even though I went in 2023 November, I still haven't sat down to put my thoughts through, because that's how I feel. I cannot believe that I actually went to Antarctica and came back. And it was quite emotional coming back, because I didn't know when I would be back. Because usually, when you're traveling not to Antarctica but to other places, you know that you can always go back. It's not a big deal. So you go to a country, you know that you can always go there. But for Antarctica, it requires a lot of planning, and it does require a lot of financial this thing as well. So I was not sure whether I'll be back, and it was quite emotional for me. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Sorry.
Thank you for this presentation.
Thank you.
So, I have mainly read about this heroic age of exploration, and I just wanted to base my question on the tragedies of Sir Ernst Shackleton and Henry Hudson. So, you told about this physical fitness being a required trait, right? So, can you tell something more about the mental fitness and the leadership qualities, the team spirit, those kind of things? Because you are that far, and things can go bad, like shipwreck and fending for yourself, getting
It
stuck.
can happen. So they do actually train you on every cruise ship that you go. They will train you as to how to tackle those and how you can be careful. So you are prepared for some of the things that can go wrong. But having said that, you are in Antarctica. It is -20, -30. So nothing can actually prepare you for that, because we are not used to that kind of temperature over here, right? So, but still, somehow you're mentally, like, you have to be strong mentally as well. Like I said, there were a few people who came on the cruise ship and who never got onto the Zodiac. Just by looking at that snowstorm, they didn't want to step onto the Zodiac itself. So you have to be mentally strong as well. And for 11 days, you are stuck on a boat, on a cruise. So the 190 people who were there with me, they became family. So you will sit there while having your coffee or tea in the evenings. You actually talk to them, and then they become your that support system for those 11 days. That is what happens when you're on a cruise. So yeah, you have to be mentally strong in order to do that. So these ships are tracked wherever they're going. So they do have satellite phones, and they do have a good Wi-Fi and stuff. So obviously they will be help, but touch wood, nothing has happened. The Drake Passage is one thing where things can go wrong, and people have been told that. I mean, we were told that there were a lot of cruise ships which were actually which broke and then sank and stuff. So what they do is, for Drake Passage, they plan it out. They keep monitoring the weather every single day. And sometimes what happens is, if the Drake Passage has a storm, they delay your entire expedition. So they never take a chance in order to go there, even if there is a snowstorm or anything. And even while coming back, so not just coming back, even the landing places that are there, right? So they monitor the weather every single day. There were 2 stops which were changed in my cruise because we could not land there. Even the cruise ship. So what happens is, it's not just the ice where you need to step onto it. The cruise ship also needs to anchor. And from there, you need to take a Zodiac, right? Even that place has a problem and they're not able to anchor, we don't get onto it at all. So they just change the whole route and they go around it and things. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. For anchoring. Okay. So yeah. So that's what they do. And they just park the ship, cruise ship, and then you have to take the Zodiac. So things cannot go wrong usually. They take all the precautions. But having said that, it can go wrong, and usually they do have help from Ayato. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Such a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for a wonderful evening. A couple of quick questions. For someone to start thinking about it, where does it begin? Is there the first approval from Indian government, from US, from Argentina, from where, you know, what are those key approval things? Are there health checkups out there which you have to, like, for example, if you are planning for up to, let's say, Amarnath or Ladakh, you have
Yeah.
some of those checks.
Correct.
Where do those things happen? And does insurance work?
So yeah, first question about the fitness itself. So as I said, you have to be quite fit in order to go for the expedition cruise. But if you're not fit, you can always take a luxury cruise, which is a little more expensive. So that is one thing. And then the checks, the medical checks and stuff, nothing happens. So you don't have to check. You just know yourself whether you can do it or not. So there, as I said, there were a few people who came and who did not feel physically fit to get onto the Zodiacs. So they did not get onto the Zodiacs. So that is the second one. And then what else? So where do we start? Where do we start? So as I said, confirm payment. So that is where you start. So you actually, yeah, you go onto a website which actually is a provider. Mine was Intrepid, and it is an Australian-based company. So I went on to Intrepid, searched for Antarctica and the time I wanted to book. So I booked 2 years in advance and I paid the deposit amount. And then they have a payment plan. You just keep paying every month or whatever. And then that's how you prepare yourself. And for that journey itself, I felt the journey from Bangalore to Ushuaia was more tiring than the actual journey in Antarctica, because all you're doing in Antarctica is eating and you get fed very well on a cruise ship. So you get fed and you have yoga classes and stuff. So you're having, yeah, you're having all sorts of activities over there. But also for the cruise, the expeditions itself, I was excited because I was learning photography and I was learning from Nat Geo photographers who were the best. So I really enjoyed every single activity that I was stepping on, and I would be the first one ahead. So that's what it was. That's how you start. So you basically go onto a website, and whatever the itinerary suits you, just go and book it on the time where you want to travel. So it was about 2.5 to 3 days, I think. Drake Passage, 2 days for the Drake Passage, and then about another day, half a day here and there. So, yeah, exactly. So that is what it is. So the Drake Passage takes 2 days. That's what the 800 to 900 kilometer stretch is. Over there, you're like, depending on how many cruises, I mean, days you've taken the cruise. Mine was around 4.5 days. We spent there going to different spots, and then we came back. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned that if the leopard seal would have hunted in front of you, it would have been traumatic for you. Why would it? Why would that be?
I cannot see a kill. That's what the problem
Right,
was.
But many of us, when we consume animal products which come from factory farms, isn't that traumatic?
It is traumatic. Yeah.
So why don't we quit?
Sorry.
How do we put two and two together?
See, that's a different topic which I don't think I have the control on. So I don't know to that answer. Yeah.
I was curious how you get sterilized.
So basically, you have a solution. So what happens is you wear the jacket, the heavy jacket that's given. You have the rain pants. You put on those boots. You get onto a solution which they have kept. So those boots are sterilized, and then you go out. Something gets sprayed onto you, and then you go onto the cruise, the Zodiac cruise, and then while coming back, same process is repeated. So that's how you're sterilized. So you are like pure. You're like when you come back, you're fine.
Hi, that was a great presentation.
Thank
It
you.
was great. I believe phytoplanktons are bioluminescent. So, did you see or photograph any of those bioluminescent situations?
Not in Antarctica. So we could not actually touch or anything. So
Yeah.
I didn't even know that if you shake it, you can
Yeah,
actually
you
see
can
the
actually
colors.
see the color. Yeah.
Till I actually dived in Indonesia. So you can actually
Wow,
shake
yeah.
the phytoplanktons
Yeah.
and you can see those luminescence lights that come out.
Yeah.
So in Antarctica, I was not aware of it. And otherwise, I would have definitely done, even though it was
Yeah.
super cold.
Yeah.
So
And in terms of like, you said you got a cold sometime and you couldn't do that experience. So, what happens in case of like you fall? Let's say you fall sick when you're on the expedition. So, can you like talk to doctors? Obviously, there's not doctors on every cruise ship. So, is there like any telemedicine options?
there are doctors. There
There
are
are doctors.
Yeah, there is a doctor for emergency and stuff, and they are equipped for everything. So even the cold, I had medicines that you can take, and it's extremely well equipped cruise ship. And I think all cruise ships must have those kind of emergency protocols.
Generalists that are there, or is it like are they specialist doctors for
I'm sure they're
special situations?
GPs,
Okay.
general practitioners.
Yeah.
I don't think you have specialists over there unless the passenger is a specialist, some passenger. So yeah.
I am more interested in the photographs. Yeah. While you shot these angles, do you remember the cameras that they used, the Nat Geo guys? Like,
Yes. So there was a Sony ambassador on our cruise ship. So he had got lots and lots of gear, Sony gear, because they were trying to sell the gear to us. And we could use them for free. So I had a Canon 7D Mark II with 600 lens. But then I could just leave it back and then I could use the Sony gear. So that's how we could actually use, yeah.
Just I want to check from cruise ship to the island sides. You are carrying any food?
No food.
No food.
You
That's
cannot carry
That's all.
anything. Even the
Because
bag.
it may threaten the species.
Exactly.
Okay.
Nothing. You cannot carry anything because, as I said, you're sterilized. You can only carry a bag with your camera gear. That's it. There's nothing that you can carry,
Yes.
and you have to be prepared. You can't pee, you can't eat, you can't do any of
And
those
you
things.
will allow only for the short period.
Sorry?
The distance between this island and
It takes about 2.5 hours.
2.5
The
hours.
Zodiac
Yeah.
cruises. Yeah.
just one.
Excuse me, very nice presentation.
Thank you.
But a small suggestion from you being a senior man with all grey hair. Had some problem. Why don't you become omnivorous? Just you told me you went to Indonesia and you were told all buffet, most of them were non-veg. Why don't you switch over to omnivorous? Something is available. I was in Coorg. a place where not a single vegetarian hotel was there. I was a pure vegetarian. I suffered. But I'm too old, brought up in certain atmosphere. Why don't you become omnivorous? Try eat everything. Nice. Yeah, you have to survive, you know.
Yeah, true. But unfortunately, yeah, I've tried. I don't think I can.
Could you elaborate a bit more about the photography course? Did you sign it up on part of the trip?
Yes,
Or
correct. So when you go onto the website, there are different activities that you can actually select. So one was the photography course, the second one was the camping itself. There are lots of things that you can actually select, and then you can actually go onto them. So one of the things were photography course, and it was from Nat Geo photographers.
Oh.
It is usually catered for beginners. That's what I felt. But the thing is, I've been photographing for a very long time. So for me, I felt that I did not get as much as I would have required, like I would have expected. But for beginners, it's an excellent thing because they tell you as to how and what is the best moment to take, all the different rules like rule of thirds and all those things. So they do teach all these things.
Um, because there were several questions about the how to maintain the pristine nature of the Antarctica. One of the rules that they teach you is that the only thing that you leave on the Antarctica is your footprints. You cannot leave anything else. There was an occasion. It's a very funny story. There was a guy on our ship. I think it's a United pilot who was dating his friend for 15 years. He wanted to propose to her on one of the sheet island. So he asked them if he can put his knee down to propose to her. And they say, you can bend down, but you cannot put the knees on. It was that strict. So it is, they do take a lot of care. It's not sterilization, but it is washing thoroughly. Generally is the poo from the penguins that you bring it on your boots, which is really smell hell of a lot bad.
So when I
So-
went, it was avian flu, so we
Yeah.
had to be sterilized.
Yeah.
So yeah, mine was different. So that's very true. So you cannot even keep your bags down. So if you are changing lens of your camera, you have to do whatever acrobatic, whatever, and then you change it without actually keeping it down. That's how it is. So yeah, that's why everybody were advised just take one lens. Don't even waste time over there because you cannot, nothing you can drop. Yeah.
Hi, thanks a lot for this wonderful session. I had two-part question. First, it's following up on what that sir said. What sort of food did you eat since you were very particular about your your dietary requirements, right? Because it's intense cold climate, a lot of your normal food cannot tolerate it because you're going out on a daily basis for several hours. That's the first part. And kudos to you for just accepting your dietary preferences and just adapting to such an environment. Second part is, how is it that Antarctica remains to be independent? I'm referring to the political side of it. You have all these top nations. How are they like working with each other? Is it part of United Nations or where are they getting the funding? Did you happen to see something related to this?
So they
That's
are
all. Thank
part
you.
of. So they are part of the IATO. That's what I said. So they do not belong to anything. They do have research stations. Every country has a research station over there on Antarctica, which they are operating from their country. And how they're operating together, I do not know. But then, so that's how they work together, and it does not belong to anybody. So you don't need visas to go to Antarctica, but you do need visas for Argentina. So, so that's what the thing is. The first one was about the food. So the food, I mean, there were pastas. So there were vegetable salads. There was a lot of cheese, and there was wine. There was a lot of things. So they do cater for all the dietary requirements. There are people who are they need gluten-free food, and there's a lot of things. So they do cater for everything. So the entire spread of the buffet it's a lot of spread actually. It's a lot of food, and every single meal you get that. So pretty good.
Raksha, thank you so much for this. I have a question which may be a little silly, but what was it that inspired or drove you to spend such a huge amount of money and this exertion of traveling all the way to Argentina and then all the way just for 11 days? So what was it that drove you to invest so much money and also this take the risk of traveling such a long distance? So what was that?
So definitely not a silly question. The reason is, so I started making bucket lists when I started traveling. Then I realized that I need to make a second bucket list. Second bucket list was mainly all these adventurous things that I want to do when I'm young. So because it requires a lot more effort to do these things when you're a little older, is what I believed. Because that's the reason why I started saving up money for different things. So I did this. I just finished scaling Mount Kilimanjaro. So there are different things that I actually have in my bucket list, and I want to do these things. And the next I want to do is Greenland. So that also is very difficult journey to go. So that's another thing. Yeah. Sorry, 1 second.
So you mentioned about you cannot carry food with you when you are on the Zodiac. How about water? You cannot carry water as well?
You can carry a little bit of water,
Okay.
but they expect you not to carry. At least in my cruise, I was told not to carry. But then some people are like, they have medical problems and stuff. So they said you can take water a bit, but you cannot pee anywhere. So that's something that we were told. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.